that. I never knew that, but I did, like, now that you mention it, I have history with Trump, but no, I used to live in his property. I used to live in his property. So, but he's like, there was one time that I lost a big deal of money, 24 hours, one table.
Oh my gosh.
And it was his.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Other Side of the Nail Desk. I'm super excited here to be Ari. I'm super excited to be here with Ari, who is our in-house nail educator. And Ari has had so many different lives in the nail industry. So I'm excited to have you on our podcast with us, Ari. Welcome. Ari actually creates all of our content you guys see on Instagram. You're in such a niche area. You're so special because you're in such a niche area where you do nails and photography combined. We've tried to hire photographers, but if you're not a nail tech and you're not a nail photographer, you don't know how to take pictures of nails. Like, nails are such a niche content. It's very difficult to find photographers who actually know how to shoot nail content. How did you get into like combining the two? Because you were a nail tech when you first started, right? Let's take you all the way back to like the very, very beginning.
Right.
How did you decide that you were going to go and be a nail tech? What sparked that?
The very, very beginning?
Yeah, like very, very beginning.
It's so funny because it isn't something that I had planned to do. This is just something that just like actually happened. It happened because I needed my nails done. I actually needed my nails done. And for a long time, I know that I could draw. So I've always been able to draw. So at the very beginning, there was like always like these polishes, because back then we worked only with like nail lacquers. And so I could do like a lot of nail designs. When I was my first year of college, I had done a lot of the girls' nails, but it was just like mainly like nail art.
Were you charging at that point, or were you more just like doing it for fun?
I mostly did it for fun, but then eventually when everybody started knocking on your door, like, hey, can I have my nails done? Then eventually I started charging, but it was like really minimal. It's like the girls, we would go home for like the holidays and then I would just do their nails. Even then it wasn't like acrylics, because I didn't get into acrylics until I started this nail journey. Even when the girls wanted like a little bit of length, I basically did it with the fiberglass nails, which is like really, really interesting because that's a service that hardly anybody gets. But if you're going to school, they're still teaching you this. And it's just
even
like
until today, exactly. Yeah. I don't even think clients would even know what that is. Because I think back in the day, everyone was getting lacquer. And then from there, one day we had acrylic. It's interesting when I talk to you because like you've had so many lives, gone from working at a salon all the way to actually owning your own salon, and then stepping away from a salon to your own studio, and then stepping all away from that and then going into nail photography. That's so interesting when I talk to you because I feel like I get to see almost like the revolution of how the nail industry had changed over the last couple of years. Yeah. So you said you were doing your friend's nails in college. Okay.
First year of college, I was, and it's so funny because some of my girlfriends, like, they'll still like, oh my God, I can't believe like you really did it professionally. And it was like something that I didn't have plans to do it. It was just something that it just kept coming my way. Originally, I was born and raised in New York City. Yeah, it was Upper Manhattan. So we basically had a nail shop like every other street. But it wasn't to say that everybody could do nails or you could just like walk into the random. At least me, I've always been like very detailed and I know exactly what it is that I want, what I don't want. So I've always known what I want, what I don't want. So there was this guy, I can't remember his name. He was so amazing. He was so amazing.
He was your nail tech. He was your nail tech, basically.
Yeah, he was my nail tech. And I would follow him because he switched salons from like maybe like twice. And I would follow him. And then one time I went to go get my nails and he was just like gone. And I was like, oh my God, like, what do I do? So I needed my nails done. So the reason how I ended up doing nails is because I used to, at the time, I was super, super young. And so I've always been good with like patterns. I like patterns. So that sort of like led me to play poker. And so I had done that. And I played semi-professionally small poker for a really long time. But I mean, this is like starting off, but I would realize because I was always like intimidated by.
Wait, but were you playing at like the tables and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, so you would find me at Atlantic City.
That's right. New Yorkers go to Atlantic City. That's right.
So you would find me, like, I was always at Tropicana, and I was always either at Bally's Tropicana, maybe Caesar sometimes, but you would always find me at the poker table, at the poker room. So I was really, really young, very, very young. I was intimidated because I was playing with sharks. I'm just like learning the game, although like I could play. I did pretty good for myself. But I didn't have that kind of money. So I noticed that like I would always get like nervous around women. Like they would have like huge rings, all this jewelry.
It's like the mob. It's the mob wife look.
Exactly. So I was always like intimidated by women. Men weren't a problem. Men were never a problem for me. But it was like women, like, wow, like, it's sort of like I looked up to them, but it's just like I'm sitting here trying to take my money. So yeah, so I realized that whenever I had my nails done, oh, I was unbeatable. I was unbeatable.
When I have my nails on versus when I don't have my nails on, it's
Oh.
like when you go bare, your confidence takes a whole hit.
So that was like I could never go anywhere without. I mean, not anywhere. I couldn't go to a casino. The lights in the casino, I don't know what they do. They're like, have you ever gone into a jewelry store and all the jewelry looks amazing?
This is like so random, but there was a nail tech that we worked with where he had two jobs. He had two versions of himself. He was a professional nail tech and he took clients from like his studio. And then the other half of his life was he worked in the marketing team of a casino. And he was explaining to me like certain things that they do in the casino to make you want to continue to play. So for example, they pump oxygen into the air
And
so that like because when you have oxygen in the air, like you feel more awake, like you could just keep going all night. And he was like, that was one thing. The other was like making the carpet look really ugly. Like if you've ever looked at the carpet, I'm sure you probably haven't, but he was saying that they purposely make the carpet really ugly because the uglier it is, the more likelihood the customers are going to look up and look at the slot machines, look at like the tables, and like so this way you'll stop in your track because you might be walking from like casino to casino. It'll make you like stop in your track so that you'll stop and play at the tables or on a slot machine. Isn't it crazy?
because you mentioned that, I never knew that, but I did like now that you mention it, I never, I have history with Trump, but I never, I used to live in his property. I used to live in his property. So but he's like, there was one time that I lost a big deal of money, 24 hours, one table,
Oh my gosh.
and it was his. I probably bought a couple of his chandeliers. He had red carpets. I think it was at Taj Mahal, and they always looked like spotted.
Yes.
And so
And they're
it's
ugly. They're ugly.
that. Like I probably bought his chandeliers. Like and he comped me a cheeseburger. Like he literally comped me a cheeseburger. I mean, not him, but his establishment did.
But how much did you lose for him to copy you a cheeseburger?
I can honestly say what someone might make in a year at that time.
Oh my gosh, Ari. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So stay away from casinos.
That's so funny.
I got comped. He comped me about two cheeseburgers. Tropicana was always great with like their comps, and you know, so I used to get it all. Endless snow crab casinos. I mean snow crab legs. Um it was great. But
So you're at these tables and you see the ladies with their big jewelry, they're intimidating. So
yeah.
what did you do then?
So right. So there was something about those lights, right? It was something
Yeah.
about those lights. I don't know if they had like spot lighting or whatever, but my nails, whenever they were glossed, because I had the most beautiful gloss nails, and I can't think of his name for the life of me. I can't think of his name. But I was just like, my confidence was just like there, and I could hold a poker face, and I could just, it was, I don't know, it just helped my game.
Right, right. So
And
good.
yeah, so that's where everything started because I realized like I wouldn't do as good when I was just like this. I was young and I had just started playing poker, and then so this eventually led me into the to start doing my own nails. And so eventually in no time I just became like really, really good. And I was just like, wow, like everyone kept asking me to do different nails. And it's funny because I eventually went to another place to have my nails done. And I would see like they had these beautiful pictures of like nails. And I would always wonder, like, why don't they do my nails like that?
It's like the editorial photos that you're seeing,
Right.
right? Like they're so like beautiful, they're long, they're intricate. I
Yeah.
know exactly what you're talking about because then you go to the chop shops and you go get it done and it looks nothing like that.
They look nothing like that. So I said, they have them. There's a way to get them. So that was always like my philosophy. If you can do it, I can do it. It's always been my philosophy for
I love
life.
that. I love that.
I said, I want those red nails. I remember there was like a lady, she was, I mean, I don't know. I assume she was a lady. It looked like female hands. And she had like really bright, nice red polish and they were shaped perfectly. And so eventually I ended up with those nails. Like I got those nails. And so everyone would start eventually asking me to do their nails. And then I
How did
remember,
you learn back then? Because like honestly, nowadays like nail techs are actually people are actually moving off of YouTube, right? Like people are learning from TikTok where shorter form videos and stuff like that. But prior to there being like tutorials on YouTube, like you know, nail techs were learning from each other, right? So how
so
did you actually learn?
it's so interesting. And I think everyone who's learning nails now is so fortunate because this is like the time to, it's not necessarily a time for nails, but we have YouTube now and it's everything is available to us. It wasn't available to me. I didn't know what a dehydrator was. I didn't know what a primer was. A YouTuber, and she wasn't even a YouTuber, but she did like a YouTube video. She literally had like maybe like a 45-second video. Watch that video like over and over and over. Like it was literally 45 seconds. And, you know, I've been doing nails for years now. So I've started, if I've been doing nails professionally for 9 years, must have been learning for, I must have been learning like 11 years ago. So when I was watching YouTube, quality of film, I mean, the quality of videos were horrible, but
That's true. Like
yeah,
quality of video has significantly increased and also editing the things that you can really do with your camera, your softwares, it
yeah,
has significantly gotten a lot
yeah.
more
We're
developed. Yeah.
so fortunate to have that, right? Because you
Right.
can just learn everything on YouTube right now. But I didn't have that. And I did watch this one video like over and over and over. So through like videos, I eventually watched like one girl and I got myself familiar with like primers and dehydrators and how to prep a nail.
Right.
Even because I remember like this one girl that I would watch, she prepped her nails with like a drill. And I also had a drill, but my drill was like, it's one of those drills where it's just like all speed, no torque.
Yeah.
All yeah, speed, no torque. So I literally like burned myself like really, really bad. And I was just like, how
Oh.
does this happen? Like she does it and she does it and she does it so well, but I can't do it because it's literally like burning me.
There is definitely a lot of that in the nail industry. I think professional nail products versus non-professional nail products have such a big difference, and it was something that I didn't know either because I was exactly like you. I my first ever drill was all speed, no torque at all, and I couldn't understand like how come the videos that I was watching, what they were doing versus what I was doing, it wasn't coming out correctly. I could barely use it. And it was the same with like my brush, it was the same as the powders, the same as the monomers. And I just bought everything off of Amazon. And it's so sad because I come from the world of production of these products now, but I didn't always come from this world. I was once a beginner and I was also learning with this stuff. When you work in production of these products and you formulate these products, I actually was back in China recently with my team there and my production facility that actually manufactures our product. Every single batch you do, it doesn't matter that the ratios of the products are exactly the same. You will get a different outcome every single freaking batch. So you actually have to sit there and you retest. So for us, like these products behind me, I have like 60 gel colors. I have to test every single batch. Every single color of powders, I have to test every single batch. And if you don't do that, it'll change. It'll not be the same, even though you're putting the same exact ingredients, same exact ratios. You would think that the process of producing products is like baking a cookie. You put in 2 eggs, you put in, I don't know how much milk, how much flours.
Right.
Like very clearly, I do not bake. You would think it's like that, but you follow that process. You follow that same exact ratio. You do everything right. It's going to come out different every single time. And it's so sad because I think it's so misleading to beginners when they go to Amazon and it's like you search acrylic nail kit, the ones that you see, they're always the ones that are the cheapest. But in the world of production, the raw materials can have such a big difference. To them, it might be all monomer, but the grade of monomer all the way to, is it made from MMA? Is it EMA? Or how much lace of MMA is in there? The range of cost can have such a huge difference that
Right.
if you want to produce cheap products, you absolutely can. And then brands will list them up on Amazon and then they're like $25 and it comes with 6 colors, a Kolinsky brush and a monomer. And then beginners will go and buy them because that's what they're seeing. And then they go home with it and then they're like, wow, why is it not working? And I'm like, it's not working because it's not actually professional grade. So
Right.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I was in that situation too.
Exactly. So I also had a lot of bad experiences with a lot of different products. I remember, and then by this time I was doing my second apprenticeship with someone. She was my boss. So she had like the professional drill. I was sealing the cuticle and she let me use her drill because something happened to mine. It didn't break. I don't remember what it was. And she let me borrow her drill. And that's when I knew like it was like so eye opening. I was like, oh my God.
I'm just curious, but like when you went for your first ever apprenticeship, because you did 2 apprenticeships.
I did 2
So
apprenticeships.
when you did your first ever apprenticeship, was it at like a nail shop? Was it at a nail shop?
No, so
It
it wasn't.
wasn't.
So again, I was very determined because I'm that type of person where I can't just start something with like not finishing, or I'm just like so curious to know where this might have led me. It wasn't with the intention of like I wanted to become a nail technician, but I wanted my nails to stay. I wanted to know nails. So there was I went into I think it might have been like Craigslist or something.
Back then, oh yeah, Craigslist was the shit. Like that's what I did for everything.
Craigslist. I love Craigslist. So I went in there. There was somebody hiring maybe like 20 minutes from where I lived. The problem is they knew absolutely nothing about nails. And so I don't really know nothing about nails. And I'm coming to you to learn something. And so they're like, we love your presence and we know that you could do manicures and pedicures and that's all our clients want. It's like, okay, I can do manicures and pedicures. There were a couple and they were so adorable and they really, really wanted me there. And so I went over, they had a little small room in the back, an empty space because this was a new salon that they had purchased. So I guess they had like a little nail tech station in the back. It wasn't used. I was basically hired and they sponsored me. I was automatically given the position of like a manager. And so I was already setting like the nail prices. We were running Groupons. And it's really unfortunate because I see this happen all the time. So their place wasn't open for a year and they filed for bankruptcy.
Oh my gosh.
I want to sort of say that if they had hired me sooner, this probably might have not happened. May have, may not, but we did pretty good. We were getting a lot of return clients.
So from your perspective, what was the reason why they went bankrupt, I guess, so quickly?
They didn't market themselves enough.
Yeah.
And they were maybe like just relying on like Groupon for the hair salon. They didn't market themselves enough, I feel. It was really hard for me to get a second sponsor immediately. Maybe like a year later that I did my second internship. And so by this time I decided like I wanted to remember like with them, they were great, but I was just basically doing like manicures and pedicures. We were just introduced to gel polish. So I got myself familiar with that.
Oh my gosh. I remember back in the day it was I think it was gelish or shellac. That's what everybody would call it. They would go into a shop and they go, "Can I get some shellac on my nails?"
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it was. And we had like 5 colors. It was It was it was really sad, but it worked because I did mostly. I don't can't remember that one curler that we always use. Everyone came in asking for that, and I was like, yeah, we have that. So everybody wanted like a French, so I got really good at French. Like if you see a lot of my content, it's all French. Like I'm
You
so good
do.
at
You do a really good job with Frenchies.
yeah,
That's very, very true.
and it's just like a classic. Like everyone loves the French, so I got myself like really really good at that.
So you ended up going to your second apprenticeship, and that second apprenticeship, were they like a proper nail shop then?
So they were a shop. They were a top shop. Is that what, right?
It's so funny that you mentioned that word because I feel like I use that word quite often too, is like chop shop. And I think when people are referring to the chop shops, they're talking about your typical, like your MMA monomer girls with the 1 hour service. We used to have a nail tech that worked for us who worked at a quote unquote chop shop. And I've never worked at a chop shop, so I don't know what it feels like. Mm-hmm. And so I asked her, what does your day look like a typical day? And she explained to me, she was like, I get an hour per client. And within that hour, I need to do the soak off all the way to the brand new set with the art if the clients want it as well. And then once I'm done with that, I'm rushing over to do the pedicures. And then in between each client, basically, because she was like a dip nail tech.
I'm getting anxiety thinking about it.
Right? And is it bringing back like the memories, like the trauma? And she was like in between, like, because she was a dip tech. And she was explaining to me that as she's waiting for that client to, because like once she's finished the shaping, now the client is like waiting there with their hand in the curing lamp. As the client inserts their hand into that curing lamp, she has to run to the next client on the next pedicure chair to get started on doing the wrap and the soak off with that client, assuming she even has a time to do the soak off. She was like, most of the time I'm drilling that shit off because we don't have time. When I'm listening to this, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that is so stressful.
I've never wanted to run my salon this way, but there are some salons that they're not top shops. You know, they're cruelty free.
Yeah. They're like the luxury salons.
Luxury salons.
Yeah.
But you still have maybe 30 minutes to do a manicure and a pedicure. One of the cons of like being a nail tech, it's like you really have to learn to time management. I was very determined to become a nail technician. And I wanted to not just learn, paint a line and call it a day. I wanted to learn, I wanted the speed, I wanted the precision. I wanted it all. And so I went from like salon to salon, and it was like something that it wasn't even for the money at this point. It was just like a need. Like I was propelled to do that. Like I had to go. And so there was like this salon that I had gone to. Some of these salons, they're so pressed for time and money. And I remember one of the owners, I said, I can't do that client. And I said, no, I really can't do that client. I haven't sanitized my implements.
Right.
Like, just pretend you have. And I was just like, wow. Like, and I know that even, you know, because I used some acetone to like try to clean it as best as I could, but I was wrong. You know,
it's like we feel guilty about it as the nail technician who's using the implements on your clients. Like we feel guilty, but like if your salon owner is telling you that, like, because they're your boss, you know what I mean? They're what keeps you employed.
Right, exactly.
And you might also have another 3 more clients that are waiting in the waiting area, waiting for you to finish. Yeah. So it's like we feel guilty about it, but what do we do if that is the culture and the belief of the salon owner, who's the person who employs you?
I was not giving up that salon. I was not giving up my job. It's like everyone knew this one girl for her nail art. And I was about to find out everything that she did. So I was not leaving that position.
Even as an independent, a lot of people have this misconception that when you're an independent and you work for yourself, that you get to set your time, you get to set your hours, which is absolutely true. But when you don't plan your time well, there's no other nail tech that can help you with taking your client. You know what I mean? You're that one person that's available. So if you don't manage your time well, then unfortunately you have to cancel on a client, and that's money that you're leaving on the table versus like, you know, in a salon setting, you have your sisters that can help out, assuming that they're not already in a fight with you. 2 years ago when we did a initial survey of getting into salons. Okay. So I don't know if you know this, but our first original intention as MakarttPro was to get our products into salons. That was our initial business model. When we went to do our surveys and we like visited a bunch of salons in different cities, the one question I ask every single salon owner is, tell me, what is your biggest challenge running your salon? And the original answer I thought I would get back from these salon owners was, I thought they were going to tell me like, oh, you know, it's buying good products, or it's, I don't know, being able to find the right place for me to operate my salon. I assure you, 10 out of 10, every single one of them, actually we surveyed more like 30. So 30 out of 30, every single person told me their number one biggest challenge was people. And they said it's so difficult to find the right nail technician and the right employees for your salon.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your experience, like working with other nail techs in a salon. Like, did you have generally pretty good luck?
So I don't know that I actually had those situations, but I know they happen. We never fought over clients. However, with me, my experience, this is my experience. I remember getting like really, really upset because when you first come in, especially under an apprenticeship, prepare to do pedicures. Prepare to
Oh
do
yeah, that's
so
very true.
yeah, so we would take turns and we would rotate, right? And so as we rotated, there was people coming in. So it's my turn. Somebody comes in and she wants her nails done. And one of the girls was like, I'll take her. You go do a pedicure. And that just like it's almost like you might as well slap me in the face. Can I not do a nail set? Can I it like as a nail technician or a starting nail technician, you want to do acrylics.
Yeah, you want the practice and also you want the money for it too.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
no, pedicures are very, very good money. Like I'm surprised not a lot of more pedicures are, I mean, a lot of nail
right.
techs aren't doing pedicures, but there's so much money in pedicures. But this, I just wanted to practice again. I'm in this because I have this need to do nails at this point. I'm just doing pedicures again, sort of.
Right,
And
right.
the pedicures are filling. Somebody wanted like a full set and it was like my turn. And I was like, yes. And one of the girls told me, go do a pedicure. She's like, I'll
I would
take it.
be pissed.
I was pissed, but I
I
didn't
would
say
be so pissed and I would like cut a bitch right there.
no.
Yeah.
I was so upset. But it's, like I was an apprentice. So starting a nail career it's tough.
So walk me through from, obviously you did your two different apprenticeships, then you got licensed. Tell me from working for other people to then having the courage to do your own thing. Like, what was that journey like? How did you make that decision that you were going to leave a place where there's other nail techs, where you have an employer, to doing it on your own?
I think I'm very obedient and I do as I'm told, but I wanted to do nails. I wanted to do acrylics. I didn't want to do pedicures. My intention with my salon, it wasn't to keep the salon. It was just basically opening up a salon and I knew that I was so good at what it is that I did that I could eventually sell it. That unfortunately for me didn't happen simply because of COVID. It probably wouldn't have happened either way because the place that I had opened, it was like adjacent to like a condominium and they were getting a lot of complaints about the smell. Although I had everything in place and the state boards was like literally like down the street from me. For some time, like during COVID, when I was finally able to operate it, it was sometimes just like me running just like one station. They were still complaining about the smell.
When you're an acrylic nail tech, the monomer smell is just something that like you can't get rid of. Like there's nothing I can do about that. And even if you try to buy scented monomers, like have you seen like brands that will do fun scented monomers? I think there's a brand in Latin America that does like strawberry scented monomers. As fun as it sounds, you can still smell the monomer. It just smells like monomer with strawberries in it. I feel like every single person that does acrylic, we all have that same experience where we get complaints from our landlord, we get complaints from our neighbor, even us with like an office. Like I'm not using monomer every single day at the MakarttPro office, but I have been kicked out by every single office space that we've tried to rent. Which was why when you came to Dallas, like we had our own separate building. But even with that separate building, our landlord shared a dock with us and his staff members could smell it. So every day they would come in and complain and be like, if you guys are going to smell like that, then unfortunately I can't keep you.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it's the same with nail techs that go into salon suites. Have you seen the salon suites, by the way? Like, there's like real estate companies where they'll buy like a huge building and then they'll basically just cut them up into little suites. And
Yeah.
then like hairstylists can use it, estheticians, tattoo artists. Like you basically rent your own suite. And it's always the acrylic nail techs that get like basically like pushed out of those buildings because the minute you open up your bottle of monomer, everybody else is now complaining about it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I know exactly how you feel. That
Yeah,
sucks.
it really is bad. It's a bad situation, and some people actually love the smell. I personally love the smell of monomer.
I hated it when I started, but because I smell it every day now, I love it. If
I
I don't smell monomer
absolutely
for a day, I feel like something is off about today.
worse than that because I've been doing nails for so long. I love the smell of MMA monomer. It's like
The
so,
fishy smell? Are you talking about the fishy smell? Oh my god, girl.
but there's like you could tell one monomer. You could tell EMA from MMA from
Yes.
just from its smell,
Yes, you
and
can.
yeah, you can absolutely tell it, right? And like I absolutely love it. Like I can smell it. Like it reminds me of when I started doing nails and I was just like so curious about it. And then New York, everybody was doing MMA. I don't
Everyone
know.
in New York was doing it. I've talked to so many like old school nail techs that have been around for like decades.
Yeah.
Whenever we talk about monomer, they're always just like, oh, I miss MMA so much and I love the way that it applies. And I'm like, girl, like
Eventually when I started taking classes, we
yeah.
all worked with like EMA. So I
Yeah.
loved the way I liked the control that I had with it. The luxury salons were basically focused on just like gels.
Yes. That is true. That
And
is so true.
so we would go
They
to
shit on acrylic. They shit on acrylic all the time.
Right, exactly. So we would go to Top Shops and I want some gel. But it was really acrylic. It was either acrylic or gel. There was like no in between. There wasn't like the the soft gels. We didn't have the soft gels. We didn't have dip. So you sort of like had to choose between what, you know, what it was that you wanted to do. And so I gravitated towards acrylic. And so now when somebody says, "Oh, like we don't do acrylic. It's too small." It's like I'm offended
You're like
personally.
hurting inside.
I'm hurting. Like I want to say something like so bad, but it's just like I'm an acrylic person. Like I would always be.
So let me ask you this, okay? Do you think nail techs are more profitable doing acrylic or more profitable doing gel?
Wow.
Because like
Mm.
with acrylic, I feel like it's more profitable when you do longer sets because then you can charge more. But like if someone's coming for like a short acrylic set, like I feel like you have a hard time charging more.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I've never been interested in gel. I love, I love, I love acrylics. I just love acrylics, and it's something that I'm always hopefully gonna be able to do. Now things might be changing, but you know, remember I've worked at several salons. So I've worked at a salon where I'm literally charging $100 for pedicure because we put two hot stones in there. I was working gels, and because I put a line in there, I'm getting $80 simple set, right? And this is
Right.
like years ago. This isn't recent. This is like years ago. So I think it's the way that you market yourself. I think it's like the way that you market yourself for the salon, what you're offering. And
And I love one thing that you did mention earlier is like based on what you post as a nail tech, that's the clientele you're going to attract. You're mostly posting about shorter, simple, your clean girl looks like that's going to be the type of clientele that you attract. But if you post a little bit more lavish sets, then you're going to get those people coming to you for your style of acrylics. Something that I think we always tell beginner nail techs is if you are someone who wants to work for yourself, like you don't want to work in a salon, you want to work from your home or you want to work from a studio, you have to be really smart about the demographic of clients that you're going after. Because if you're going after the girls that want like the little simple donuts, Hailey Bieber nails, they're going to pay you $60 because that's pretty much what they're expecting. They're going in, they're out, and then they want like a short almond boring set. But if you're someone who wants to work for yourself, like you're not accessible. You don't work in a walk-in salon. You can't physically take that many clients in a day because you're not convenient to get to. Whenever I hear people on socials like tell me, they're like, yeah, I just have such a hard time being profitable as a nail tech because no one wants to book me. And then I look at their booking links and like the appointments they have is like a Tuesday at 4 p.m. I'm like, what type of clientele are you attracting? And are those clienteles the ones that will pay for the work that you actually do? Or are they looking for convenience? Because if they're looking for convenience, they got to go to a public salon. That's where they're going to get quick, easy, quick service. They can just literally do a walk in. But as an independent, you're hard to get to. So you have to go for the clients that will pay the dollars for the work that you do, you know?
I'll say this, I
Yeah.
was able to run a salon on my own. And again, I do acrylics, and I know I had my place in Baltimore. I know what I wanted to do or what I was offering at the time. And I know that I was able to run my own salon with just like me running the salon, like no help with it, with like anyone, with like acrylics. With acrylics, I feel like acrylic girls are more likely to come in every couple of weeks, but they're consistent. They're very consistent. And like there's certain places I have worked out and it's just like, oh, I'm going to a wedding. That explains it. You're here for a wedding. It's not because you're consistent. But if it was solely between acrylics and gels, I would probably have to guess that, yeah, acrylics. is a
It's
little
more
more.
profitable. It's like, unless you do the art. If you're like a nail artist and you do like the very intricate art, then I think definitely you can still definitely profit off of that. But I think if you're doing, if you're not an art-based technician, I feel like I agree with you, is like acrylic is probably going to be a lot more profitable. And you're right, is the acrylic girls, they're consistent. Like rain or shine, they're there for their fills.